paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Put that in a pan, cook it up a little bit, throw in some onions, some garlic, a little diced carrot, a little diced celery. You'll never know the difference. It basically is just beef tallow at that point. It just might give you prion disease.
Is that the cold open of the episode? It's basically just beef tallow. It just might give you a prion disease, and we just run with that from here.
Yeah, they don't have to know what it's about.
What's the beef tallow mystery ingredient? Pay us money and find out at patreon.com/BSB.
True. You can learn more about redacted, but I'm actually saying cannibalism on our Patreon.
Huge for the industry, whichever industry that is. There should be an industry for that.
Well, okay, so this is actually something that I thought about a lot.
People that suffer from it. Like, we just put all the left-handed people into that.
Are you saying that we should eat left-handed people, DJ?
Everything except the hands. I'm not a monster. Like, that's where you get the prion disease.
Or are you saying that we should have left-handed people be forced to have liposuction so that we can sell their belly fat as like a beef tallow substitute to the all-natural no seed oils people? What could possibly be better for the human body than human fat?
The human body, yeah.
So we've already reached the ethical impasse of it's basically impossible to ethically harvest any sort of human facet for consumption, at least under capitalistic models. But beyond that, you've already opted into picking a out social group to be the ones we farm for this. DJ, how does it feel to be speedrunning your fascistic ascension?
No, see, the nitpick I have with that is they're not an out group yet, and they should be.
Well, they're a former out group.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the graph has, the little airplane graph with the bullet holes has gone too far. Like,
speaking of racism...
all of this is usable. Speaking of Brainstorm Brewery.
Speaking of racism, I've been watching a lot of Star Trek. We'll cut back into that later. It's fine. Welcome to Brainstorm Brewery, the most hinged Magic Finance podcast on the internet. I'm your host, your only host. There's never been another host. I'm Cass, joined by DJ Do the Dougie Johnson.
I have notes on that nickname too, but that's okay.
I'm not accepting notes at this time. I'm perfect.
Can we at least have a little suggestion box that kind of doesn't look like a shredder, but really is?
It's a suggestion box, but actually it's like an RFID scanner. It steals your credit card information when you walk by it. Like, it's just a skimmer.
You put your credit card in it to get shredded, and it comes out perfectly fine, but you just stolen somebody's information.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's like a bit from one of the Ocean's movies. Like, someone thinks they're shredding a document, but it actually just scans it. Is that an Ocean's movie? It's one of the Mission Impossibles, I'm pretty sure.
Or you just put the document in, and there's like a small person inside the machine with scissors that just like takes a picture of the document and then cuts it up and puts it at the bottom.
But are they left-handed or right-handed scissors?
I don't think... Do left-handed scissors exist? Do they deserve that level of technology?
They do exist, and I'm not speaking whether or not they deserve them, because I feel like that should be pretty obvious what the answer to that question is.
I'm just having flashbacks to, like, Jason's like, you're alienating half your listeners, and I'm alienating, like, what, like 3%? Way better ratio. Like, yeah. I don't know, what is it, 10%? Yeah. 3? It's gotta be under 10, right?
I don't know the ratio of
I refuse to look it up
people.
And give them the SEO. That's where I'm at.
You refuse to give left-handed people the SEO? Welcome to Brainstorm Brewery. We're here to talk about the new Magic the Gathering set, Edge of Eternities, a self-contained bit of Magic story and Magic design, not tied into the greater multiverse yet, outside of one guy, Tezzeret. How are we feeling about that, DJ? How are we feeling about Magic as Magic was intended?
I've been enjoying it, and I haven't read the set yet. I haven't read the story yet. Sorry, I've read a lot of the cards in the set. I have not read the story.
Sure.
Generally a big fan of within universe Magic doing crazy things like this. Was a big fan of Nine Dynasty. I was tentatively optimistic for Nine Dynasty. Like I was like, I don't know if they're gonna be, but they did. They great, blew it out of the water, loved it. Have always just been a big fan of this type of Magic, which I think is. I don't think this is a hat set. I don't think this is a Thunder Junction Markov Manor. Yes, Corbin, I said Markov Manor. You don't listen to this podcast. Yeah, it's not a hat set. This is like every legendary creature in this set, sans Tezzeret, like you said, is unique.
Right.
It's not like Tezzeret in space with Space Bellerin and whatever. It's all its own thing. And
that's like saying that Lorem was a hat set because the goblins wore different clothes.
Yeah.
Like it's just sci-fi fantasy. They did the daily MTG thing today, and they used the phrase space opera a lot, which it is what it is.
What is objectively a space opera? Like, as somebody who didn't watch the Star Trek or Star Wars movies until I was 25, I think, and then have never really watched Star Trek, have never really watched any sort of media where they zip away on a spaceship. What is a space opera?
So, definitionally, this might not be fully accurate, but Star Wars is probably the most well-known one. It's like a story of space being the primary setting. Usually it takes place in the future. There's some sort of epic story that goes beyond just our characters. Oftentimes, your main characters turn out to be key pieces in this galactic story. Something like Star Trek is far less space opera and more space exploration. Like, there's less of an epic story going on with the Star Trek series, at least an episode-to-episode basis. A lot of Star Trek is just like them exploring...
like a Monster of the Week situation, but I assumed there was like something building at the grander level.
There are certain episodes that I would definitely classify in like the space opera genre. All Good Things Part 1 and 2, I think, being the best episodes of the series. You can fight me in the comments about that if you want. But like Dune is sort of the classic one, sort of like the space opera. I'm sure there was some before that. Again,
I have seen the Dune movies.
Very good movies. If you haven't seen those, watch those too. Yeah. To our listeners, obviously, you just said you did. But to me, the things that define a space opera are it's in space, it's epic, and usually your characters are the key to the story. Like, they're not just like people going about their day in a bigger world, doing something in a bigger world. It's like they are instrumental to everything.
Okay. Is XCOM Enemy Unknown a space opera?
I don't know what XCOM Enemy Unknown is.
Really? Okay. It's like
Googling.
One of the most popular tactics RPGs. It's a very it's an alien invasion tactics RPG where you are a world government organization that has been tasked to defend against a large scale alien invasion of some kind.
Oh. I guess that could be. So I looked up space opera to get a definition specifically, and it does say it's just something taking place in space with a melodramatic nature, and that sounds like it kind of fits the vibe.
And the actually asshole thing here is like you can't just be like Earth is in space, right? Like it has to.
Right. You can't say that 51st Dates is a space opera because Earth is a rock hurtling through the galaxy or whatever, right?
51st Dates is just funny.
I thought of like, what's a random rom-com? Is that a rom-com? I don't actually know. Either way, I love space operas.
Yeah, it's more of a rom-com than Click is, that's for sure.
Click's a whole mess.
Yeah.
That said, I love space operas. Stay on target, DJ.
Is Adam Sandler left-handed?
Probably. Big fan of space operas, big fan of sci-fi in general. I've been saying recently that every Magic set these days, for the most part, hat sets aside, is someone's favorite. It's not going to be everyone's favorite, but it's going to be someone's favorite. Like, Duskmourn was really, really big with a couple of people I know who were really into horror.
Yep.
Edge of Eternities is shaping out to be, like, my favorite set of all time.
Favorite set of all time?
It's a strong statement, I know. So far, I've read some of the story, not all of it. The story we're getting for it, I think, is like a scale of, worst sci-fi story ever to best sci-fi story ever. It's like, it's batting like a 7.5 average story to story. Some of the writing's a little schlocky. It does the thing that I love more than anything in sci-fi, where it just jumps in using as much jargon and like slang terms and names as possible, and it kind of fills you in as you go. To me, that is like,
that, yeah.
It's really fun, and it doesn't apologize for it. It's no Orc City situation.
Orc City situation?
Don't worry about it. We'll just blow past that. There was some guy on Twitter making fun of somebody's writing, and someone said, this is the opening sequence to this guy's book. And it was basically just like, Orc City has fallen. There is nothing more reviled than the orc. The architects of their own destruction oversaw. The guy was writing real D-tier fantasy slop, and like, he knows it, I think. But then Orc City became the hot joke of the day or whatever on social media.
Okay. I knew we were gonna like completely dodge our intersection on like our metaphor or whatever. I was gonna go the anime route and be like, oh, so they like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhooded it.
I actually get that one. Because
like episode 1, you're just like, oh, okay, this is but what's a state alchemist? I'll find out later. Great, yeah, okay. Yep. So I also love the art in this set.
Yes.
Not normally somebody to stop and pay attention to the art, but there are quite a few bangers in here, and I very much appreciate that it seems that the artists were allowed to do a lot of things that they have not been allowed to do previously in Magic the Gathering.
I know they did in the Daily MTG thing, they had Kieran Yanner pretty forward in the discussions around the art. I believe Kieran Yanner is someone who has a background in some amount of sci-fi fantasy art, did some work with Blizzard at one point, I want to say. Really seems like a lot of Magic artists who have worked in these sci-fi fantasy spaces before are finally getting to flex those muscles, and they're really going all out, and it does show.
Like, what's the Angel? The Angel is the one I had to stop and look at. Esteli Reclaimer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has generic keyword from the set. It's 5 mana. It's gonna be a bulk rare. It's not gonna be worth anything. It's gonna crush your skull in limited, and that'll be fine. But like, man, somebody did a very good job on that.
I also want to say about the alt arts in this set is there's a couple different versions of alt arts for both the bonus sheet and the regular set, and so there's just a mess of versions of cards, which is its own problem. But
that's just a Magic as it is thing, and I think that's mostly an us problem.
Yes. That said, every single treatment I've seen in this set basically is good.
All of them seem to be Roka-able, which I think, obviously, I'm a bit biased, but like that's important.
Also, the Pulp Sci-Fi special guest cards has me sweating. I love those so much.
Which ones?
This is the special guest for the set, where it's like pulp sci-fi novels. The Paradox Haze even has like a fake price sticker partially ripped off that's printed on it.
Yeah, these are just secret lairs.
Yep. There's just a bunch of really cool things they're doing with art now. I think the Super Void, Sathera the Super Void, is probably going to be our serialized card for the set, right? Are they doing a serialized card for the set like they have been?
I'd be surprised if they're not, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they're not, because, like, so what Cass is talking about is, since Innistrad Remastered, which was earlier this year, Wizards said they're spotlighting a single card in each set, which, was Edgar Markov in Innistrad Remastered, and then the Aether Spark and Aether Drift.
Yep.
And
Mox Jasper and Chocobo.
Yep. Yes, yeah. Mox Jasper, then Chocobo. Okay, we're there. So they have stayed with it for the first half of the year, and I feel like 3 wins, 1 loss. The 1 loss being Aether Drift means that they are still on track to do it, to keep doing it. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I also think the Aetherspark serialized card was desirable. That card is popular among casual players. It's a Planeswalker equipment.
No,
It's
I mean,
a cool
but
card.
just like by the context of like them axing us, like the program based on the set.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I mean,
did this program work not based on like the desirability of the serialized card, just based on like did people like the way we structured this?
I think if they planned to do a year in advance, we wouldn't be to the point where they're able to make changes. Like if Innistrad Remastered released and they decided they wanted to axe the program, I think we're still probably a couple months off from sets being impacted by that decision.
Normally, I would agree, but we've seen them hit some screeching emergency brakes before, based on very little data.
Sure. What I'm saying is, like, I think that logistically, they would not be able to alter printed sets until, like, October.
No, yeah, they wouldn't be able to alter the cards in the set, but they could. I could see them be like, oh no, there's no serialized card in the set. The one that was supposed to be definitely wasn't. Like, they could definitely like, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we have most of the mythics, whether or not. Also, for like the people listening to this, a lot of the set has been unofficially leaked. Just a lot of it's been unofficially leaked. So we do plan to talk about most of the cards in the set. I think if you are somebody who tends to avoid leaks, you may want to. I guess JJ can like put in the timestamps as to when we are talking about leaks, so you can get back to when we start talking about the good stuff, i.e. the left-handed operation that we're planning.
Don't say we. That's all you, buddy.
By we, I mean me and Corbin.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
He's muted on the call right now. He's just on note taker this week, but he's very much here. Yeah, that was a thumbs up. That was a thumbs up. Okay, he's fully on.
Corbin is sitting in the podcast cuck chair.
Speaking of cucks, people who play Slivers and Eldrazi are gonna be really happy with this set.
That is so true. Half our audience, DJ, half our audience. This set has a lot of little things. There's like one poison card in this set, a couple of random affinity cards. They're really doing a mishmash this time, and I with it. I like it.
It's so hard to get people to like. People have been asking for slivers for so long, and I am very, very happy that this seems like the perfect place to put them.
We're also only getting one
aliens.
sliver
They're just
card.
aliens.
We're getting one sliver card, right?
Is it only one?
I believe they said one sliver card, one Eldrazi card.
I'm actually a little disappointed by that. Never mind. I understand that those designs are kind of slivers are kind of parasitic. Like, obviously you need a lot of slivers to do the sliver thing, and this one sliver card on its own kind of does the thing on its own in a way. But I feel like this is such a perfect place for both slivers and Eldrazi to just be a larger part of the set.
But I think that would take away from what... I think that would take away from what Edge of Eternities is. Instead, by having the Eldrazi guys in the set, and there are some Eldrazi references, because apparently the Eldrazi were in a war with the Fomori in, like, the before times, where the Fomori won and drove the Eldrazi out. And the slivers, I think the implication is that slivers are otherworldly. They're from space or whatever. And so there's, like, there's no actual sliver creature in the set. There's an artifact that references slivers in the set.
Right, but, like...
Would you rather have slivers and Eldrazi slopping it out with guys in spacesuits, or an interesting piece of original Magic story that doesn't have anything to do with previous? Like, do we want a hat set or not, right? I think that sort of, like, takes us in the hat set direction.
I don't know if it does. Slivers are, like, slivers are just magic. They're not hat on a hat. Their slivers are such just magic essence.
I mean, isn't Rakdos just magic? Right? He was, like, the original Red-Black Legend of Ravnica, and instead he's wearing a cowboy hat now, right? Like, that's...
But we're not putting slivers into spacesuits.
You don't have to actually on a hat for it to be a hat set.
Like, this is where they're from. I don't know.
I mean, I think also the implication is, like, they no longer exist on the edges of space, right? They've moved into, like, the multiverse. Also,
that part I can agree with. Okay, that part I can agree with. Like, the slivers are no longer here, but there are vestiges. I love that.
Right.
Eldrazi's, I would assume... Don't the Eldrazi live in the Blind Eternities? Isn't that their whole thing?
So, okay. Again, I've only read about half the story, and so story spoilers potentially here for at least the first half. Cythera the Super Void it was a black hole that cultists... So, okay. Dominia, not Dominaria, Dominia, sort of the multiverse as we know it, right? Is what I've been referring to in my head as a megaplane. It's all the different planes in Dominia make up what is Dominia, right?
And that's our multiverse.
That's our multiverse. And then there's another multiverse in theory, like another megaplane. There's a bunch of those, I'm assuming.
Okay.
I think that the Super Void is a wormhole between them. I'm not actually sure of this again. But like there's people who hang out around the Super Void feeding it stardust so it can collapse on itself and become... I mean, it's just a black hole at that point. That's all to say that I think the Eldrazi have been pushed out of our multiverse and only are able to enter through cracks in the Blind Eternities. I think is kind of the implication.
I see.
Also, I might be full of shit on all of that. So, fact check me or don't.
I'm open to somebody getting in the comments and telling me all about why I am wrong on this, certainly.
But the actual cool part about the Eldrazi thing is that there's the implications that they lost a war to the Fomori way back in time. And in the story, Tezzeret references cracking that darn vault or something, which is the Fomori vault on Thunder Junction, potentially.
If he says darn, I'm going to shoot myself in the head.
I can't remember if that's what he said. I don't think it was, but Okay. I think it's like that cursed vault or something.
Sure.
That sounds like him. That's all to say that there's just a bunch of messy sci-fi stuff happening, and that's what makes it a space opera.
Sure, okay. I'm still here for it. I am willing to be convinced that I am wrong on the Sliver and Eldrazi stuff. You can backspace your comments about me calling them the players cucks, and then you can just story educate me instead. That's fine.
I would love that.
Arch Enemy Charm is cool.
Yeah, I like that we're getting cycles. The Morphling cycle coming together over the decades was cool. This coming together is... I like nice round cycles, but I like when we get to space them out.
I also just love triple colors in things.
Yeah. This is maybe the best triple color combo too, because you could Dark Ritual it out if you really wanted to. I don't know why you would necessarily want to, but like it, is an option afforded to you.
This one feels the least flexible to me.
Yeah, I mean, Archmage's Charm is definitely the most flexible. Archdruid's Charm kind of is just search for a creature plus sometimes, right? This one feels like it is a removal spell that sometimes gives you a little bit of value.
That competes with a lot of other removal spells.
Right. And also 3-mana removal is not exactly what we're about. At least not as the primary effect, right?
Yeah.
Like each one of the charms has an effect that is clearly the strongest, which is like counter target spell plus search for a creature, or on this one it's just exile target creature or planeswalker. Like long gone are the days of Hero's Downfall being a $20 card.
I've wanted to do a game on this podcast where we bring in a non-Magic player and then just like quiz like let's get a Yu-Gi-Oh player and like quiz them on like what was the most expensive price this card hit.
Ooh, I actually love that.
Like show them Hero's Downfall, Thoughtseize, and like 2 other black staples of the time.
Right.
And then like which one was the best?
For the artifact section, we show them Pithing Needle. I don't know, like Tormod's Crypt. Some like strong looking artifact that's just like not actually that expensive. But then we also have Mishra's Bauble as the 4th one because it's just a $70 card at its peak or whatever.
Mishra's Bauble, I think they understand Mishra's Bauble as part of duality.
That might actually be fair. I don't know. Pithing Needle being a $50 card once upon a time is really like that to me is the kicker.
Yeah. Because I think the artifact section is really interesting because a lot of those cards do have Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? Like, Pithing Needle is just Effect Veiler, and Effect Veiler was also $50 at a time. Like, a lot of those have corollaries that seem very good and are also very good, but it's hard to pick the best one. I don't know. Because we could throw a stinker in there, too.
We could do Pokemon players and show them really, really, really nice art rares that are worth $0.25, And the ugliest card you've ever seen that's like $600 from Arabian Nights or something.
Yeah, like Mox Pearl.
I feel like the Moxen might actually just be like universally known amongst card game people.
Yeah, some of those broke containment for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of breaking containment, Final Fantasy broke containment in a big way, and I think we're kind of existing in a new paradigm in the industry that I've sort of been thinking about a lot.
I agree completely, and I would like you to explain it more, because this set, like, broke my brain over Vegas, and I think that was a part of it.
So, we sort of exist in this world now where people who have no interest in playing Magic or never had interest in playing Magic now or they're interested in making money off of Magic. We have sports card money in Magic now. We have Pokemon money in Magic now. We have people who are on Facebook groups buying Surge Foil Final Fantasy cards for full retail.
Without knowing what the text of the card means.
Right. We have people who are cracking boxes. I saw Chum-Li, the guy from Pawn Stars, on TikTok doing booster pack rips of Final Fantasy. And like he was explaining, I saw Chum-Li from Pawn Stars explaining what standard is to somebody on TikTok. Okay? None of that sentence should ever exist. I shouldn't be able to say that.
Yeah, so I had to explain to somebody in Vegas what a collector number was on a card, because she, like, put some cards on the table, and then I priced them out, and she said, that number is way lower, and I said, can you explain to me what number you were looking for? And she said, like, $40, and I said, oh, this isn't the Surge Foil, and she looked at her phone, she said, but it's the same art, and I said, no, look at this number in the bottom left, yours is number XYZ1, and this one is 0594 or whatever, and she's like, oh, okay, that makes sense, that they're unique cards. One of these is way more than the other. And I said, yeah, in person, this one looks very, very pretty.
Sure. I think that those sort of like teaching moments are going to be really important as we move forward for customers, especially new ones. But to me, the interesting thing, and I think this really shows the difference between DJ and I, DJ is really concerned about individual buy interactions, the bread and butter, the stuff that actually makes money. And I'm like, why are there no listings for any Jurassic Park emblem cards on the internet? Right, like those are the two different sides of this coin where it's like, what are the challenges the industry is going to face as all these new people enter the game? And for me, I'm just like, did some sports cards did a bunch of guys who have Mickey Mantle signed card money buy every emblem Jurassic Park card? I think across all the different cards on TCG Player, there were like 15 total copies listed amongst all of the emblem cards.
That's insane to me, because those cards don't sell. Ever. But for those who don't know, the Jurassic Park emblems, they don't sell. They were almost as bad as the Forgotten Realms, what do you call it, ampersand cards. Those ones are truly the bottom of the barrel, but like...
Have you looked up the Jurassic Park cards in the last couple days?
No.
Okay, we're gonna play a mini game here. Okay, don't pull them up. What do you believe is the lowest listing for Blue Loyal Raptor Borderless Emblem version? TCG Player, lowest listed copy.
How many listed copies are there?
There are 2 listed copies. So I'm going to tell you the card name, I'm going to tell you how many listed copies, and I'm going to tell you what the last sale was, okay?
Sure.
So there are 2 listed copies of Blue. The last sale was for 250.
I'm going to say 450. Before you told me the last sale, I was going to say 300 or 350.
The lowest listed is 1,651.
Sure, so...
Obviously a stupid made-up number, right? But someone coming in is going to be like, oh, that's a cool Jurassic Park card. And then they're going to buy it because that's what card game people do. We're going to go with another one. And this one's particularly fun. Because I actually turned down buying one of these for a really good number recently. And I'm kind of kicking myself because I think the card is really cool. We're going to go with Indominus Rex Alpha Borderless Emblem. There are 2 listed. Would you like to know what the last sale was?
I would like to know if it's a 4-digit number or not.
It's a 3-digit number, the last sale.
No, the current listing.
4 digits. Yeah, the last sale was 3 digits. This is 4 digits.
So, like, 2,100.
A 2K is the lowest, closely followed by 2,500. If you go to eBay... and you look up Indominus Rex Alpha, typing fake words always gets me. You look up Indominus Rex Alpha Emblem version. There is a single listing for a BGS 10 for 3,500, a 9.5 for 2K. Like, only graded copies of these are on eBay right now. We're
That's
seeing
so
this
crazy.
weird. We're seeing like slab grifters enter the Magic space, which is really big in Pokemon, really big in sports cards, really big in a couple of the anime card games, if I remember correctly. But across all Jurassic Park cards, there's barely any listings for the emblems, and that's just one example of an asset class in Magic, quote unquote, that is meaningfully rare, right?
Yeah.
For a card to be something these people can move on, there has to just be like, I don't know, 10 copies total across the internet. Otherwise, it becomes too cost prohibitive to try and buy them, and we're kind of seeing the buyout thing happen. Now, none of these have sales at these new prices, for whatever it's worth.
But they don't need to, that's the thing.
Exactly.
They just need to not exist on the internet for 6 months until people are like, just forget the old price.
Right. Like, I was willing to pay $700 for an Indominus Rex borderless emblem card because building a commander deck for it, with it for a friend, and like, I thought that'd be a really cool thing to have on the face of it. I would not pay 2K for it, but that's because I know that the 750 number existed recently. But
right,
like,
and because you know this card is not a Mox Pearl. Or
right,
like,
but
yeah.
Someday, that just might be the price for the card, right?
Yep.
Because somebody's going to come along and be like...
somebody's like first edition VHS, and it'll never see the light of day again.
Or it'll just be someone's commander. Like, we're going to get more whales into Magic every time there's a Universes Beyond, because the kind of people who stick with Magic after they get in from something like that are going to be whales.
Yeah.
Whales and players.
When you were describing this, I was wondering if it impacts regular serialized cards, and I don't think it does, because they're just Magic.
Yep.
That's the key, right? Like, they're just Magic.
On the other hand, I think that the Secret Layer bonus cards, like the ones that aren't guaranteed, those are very thin supply. Like, the Elementals from...
and stuff like that?
Yeah, Elishnoran, Miku Snapcaster, the Minskimbu is another good example. The Elementals from Final Fantasy. All those cards are meaningfully rare. Like, for a card to be rare, it maybe has to be more rare than a serialized card, or as rare as a serialized card, but not have a number.
I think equal to or less than alpha rare is the line for me. Like, less than 1,100 copies.
Yeah, and I mean, do you think there are more than 1,100 of each emblem rare from Jurassic Park?
It's gotta be close.
It's gotta be... I mean, a serialized card has 500 copies across the entire run of collectors. Ixalan collectors were capped because they had the neons were I guess they weren't serialized, were they?
No.
So, Ixalan collector we don't know the print run on as cleanly, I guess. It's hard to say, but I think that there's a pretty good chance that there's less emblem Ravenous Tyrannosaurs.
If we get a 2K sale for Indominus Rex, and then we have 2K sales for Hatsune Miku Encore Electromancer, that's close enough.
Yep. I'm kind of in the business of owning this stuff these days. I have a lot of the Final Fantasy Elementals that I've picked up at various cheap prices as they sort of had their steady climb. My philosophy right now is if I'm going to own something that I'm not actively churning, I want it to be something that is rare. Like, quote, rare, you know?
For sure. I used to really not like owning this specific kind of stuff because I was...
Right.
There were concerns about, like, you could argue, oh, these are reserved lists, but they could also just, like, dump them in other secret lairs, which they've kind of did with the Miku. It's like, is this another Encore one? Maybe. And, like, I know when I opened my Minskin Boo and was very happy to sell it immediately at like $250 or whatever, and it was very much okay, take the money, move on to the next thing. But now if you open an Elemental from Final Fantasy, like...
Right.
Do you just hold it until it's $1,000? I don't know.
I mean, so I think a great example of this specifically is the Solitude. The cheapest copy I saw for sale in Vegas was $300, and that is like $700 now, and it climbs like $50 every couple of days. And that's a very short period of time for a card to go up that much, right?
Yeah.
This is sort of, I'll call it my bonus pick of the week. I think actually the kind of card from this grouping that is the most underexplored right now is the non-serialized Soul Rings from Lord of the Rings, just like the Elven text ones. We know the print runs on them. There's not that many of them. right? It's like...
I think people have to understand how rare... It's really hard for regular people to understand that those are rare, I think.
Right. Well, how many of each were there? There was 1,000
like
Elven.
Another Soul Ring.
Yeah. Well, the difference is that it's Elven text, right? And, like, that's...
It is, but I don't know. There's a lot of people that squiggly line, right? Like, I don't know.
Sure. No, you're right. There is a lot of people like that. But like, I think if that's something that you want to own for yourself anyways, now is probably a good time to grab them. You know, there's not a ton of Universes Beyond stuff in this category, but all of it seems liable to go up.
Yes. Another note that I just learned about recently is Michael posted that he found a counterfeit version of one of those Elesh Norns.
Yeah.
Which is something that we haven't seen in the space before and can be very difficult to tell if you are, A, not somebody who deals with this kind of stuff on a regular basis, and B, even if you are somebody who deals with this kind of stuff on a regular basis, you don't see that card, or, like, nobody sees that card on a regular basis. There's not a human that does. Yep. So, like, it's so much harder to tell when you don't have a real version to compare it to, because we've seen so much variation in print run with, like, Modern Horizons 2, Modern Horizons, like, 3. Like, there's so many sets with increased deviation within its own print run that you can just look at a playset of Force Negation and be like, yeah, they're all real. They all look different, but they're all real. And, like, who has the Elesh Norn to compare that to? In RC Hartford, I believe it was Hartford, I was buying a collection and I found a few counterfeit cards in this person's binder. They were very disheartened. It was a really unfortunate interaction. We had to have a very long conversation and, like, work through this person's binder very carefully. And then I reached the Foundation's anime Llanowar Elf that was also counterfeit.
Yep.
Never seen one of those before in my life. I work more Magic Fests than most anybody in the world, and, like, that's just a thing that we have to deal with now, is, like, these high-end cards that, like, normally it's, Scalding Tarn, Liliana the Veil, fetch lands, shock lands, just these bread and butter $20 to $100 cards. I don't even see fake dual lands. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a fake dual land. They just don't exist.
Yep. No, it's true. The thing about dual lands is historically they were too expensive, or, you know, too under scrutiny for people to bother faking them because you couldn't get away with it or whatever.
And the fakes are real bad, and the wear is just not there.
Right. And so the people with fake cards like Force of Will and like you were saying, like, you know, Wasteland, nowadays, no one cares enough about dual lands to bother faking them.
Yeah. And, like, the near, like, I don't know, the texture on those cards is so distinct that if you fake them to try to be near mint, it's impossible, and you can't, like, artificially wear the card down either.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I genuinely could not tell you the last time I saw a fake dual land, ever.
Same.
Maybe, like, 6 years ago, I think, I saw, like, a fake scrubland.
It would have...
6 to, like, 8 years ago.
It might have been Vegas 21 was the last time I saw one.
But, like, fake power kind of exists, but not really. It's, like, way rare.
Yep.
But, like, now we have fake counterfeit $400 Elesh Norn and potentially fake Encore Electromancer, and it just reinforces, like, if you are buying that kind of card and you are looking at it as an asset class, or, like, this is going in my cube for 6 years and then I will sell it when I need to buy a house kind of thing, like, when you're buying that kind of card, you need to be able to have the grounded thinking process of, this seller has it for $1,600, this seller has it for $1,800, I'm going to spend the $1,800 because this person has a track record and has been in the industry forever. I know who this person is. I know, like, that they have the understanding to tell the difference. Like, you have to be able to just pay more for the premium experience or something of like that from like Card Kingdom or Star City or
Card Garden,
wherever. Your local me, like, whoever.
I remember this is something that's been lost to Magic culture in a big way, but I remember, like, the mid-aughts, people would always say, oh, you just paid the extra money to buy from Star City.
Yeah.
Because you know it's going to be legit. But people don't say that kind of thing anymore. I mean, they kind of actually do, weirdly, for, like, TOA specifically, because I think they're such a reputation-based business. But like, I don't really. Whenever someone I know is getting power, they're just like, I gotta find the cheapest Mox Pearl available. Like, I'll buy it on MTG Sick Deals or whatever. The Facebook
or I'll
group,
like
and it's
spin the wheel on whatnot until I like,
Right.
sell my collection or whatever. Like,
which, I mean, I understand people are price sensitive more than they are quality sensitive these days. That makes sense.
yes.
That said, as we enter this world of grifters and slabs, and it's more important than ever to do your due diligence and be willing to spend the money to be secure. I think, personally.
You only need it to go wrong one time when you're buying multiples of these cards to be fully underwater on everything.
Yep.
That's like something that happens at the buy table is when I'm buying cards and I am 5% unsure of a card, like if that card is not real, like does that negate the past 5 transactions I've done? So like there'll be times where I pass on something like, hey, this is probably a real Magic card. I just like if it's not, I'm underwater, and even if it's real, like I have to convince somebody else it's real. Do I want a customer service message 6 days later saying like I am concerned about the authenticity of this? And my LGS told I had that recently where I sent out a card and somebody messaged back saying like this isn't real. My LGS owner said it's fake, and that's a really interesting conversation to navigate because like it's tough to tell somebody, like, you can't be like, hey, I bet I know your LGS owner. Like, I bet I know more than your LGS owner, 100%. Like, because that's true. I probably do. But, like, you just have to, it's a real tough situation.
I wonder if I've ever been that LGS owner for somebody who they just, like, they go to DJ and they're like, DJ, my LGS owner said that this card was fake. And you're like, I know more than your LGS owner. DJ, you don't know more than me.
For what it's worth, the outcome of that situation was I offered to send the card in to get graded to a company of their choice.
Ooh, love that solution.
Like, if it comes back as fake, I'll fully eat it. But if it's real, like, congrats, it's graded now. Yep,
it costs you a pretty nominal fee, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's move on a little bit here and do our pick of the weeks, maybe, or breaking bulks first.
Yeah, we haven't even done breaking bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
My breaking bulk is an artifact from Scars of Mirrodin.
Oh boy, this is a favorite set of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all I get?
Oh, am I supposed to give you the rarity also? It's a common.
Ichor Clawmere. We'll start easy.
Strong guess, but no.
That set didn't have colored artifacts, correct?
Correct.
Phyrexia was the first. Okay.
Well, Alara was the first set to have colored artifacts.
In the block, I mean, like.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Common. My mind keeps going to Necropy, but that is uncommon, and so is Contagion Clasp. Yeah. And.
Yep.
Is Corpse Cur common?
I think it's an uncommon, but it's not Corpse Cur. Bro is infect maxing today.
Is it a mirror?
It's not a mirror.
Galvanizer and Palladium are uncommon, but it like...
Yeah. It's a non-creature.
Just like thinking of the bits we could do on infect maxing, but like...
I'm poison maxing. I'm only eating raw beef tallow and human belly fat.
That's where I was going. Infect non-creature, not infect. Scars of Mirrodin, non-creature common
artifact.
It's not a Trigon. It's not a.
Nope.
I'm just guessing every uncommon possible.
Well, it's common specifically, right?
I know. My mind is just going to all the uncommons.
Sure.
This one's really gonna irritate me when it gets said too. If I don't get this. Nile Spellbomb.
It is Nile Spellbomb, not technically a colored artifact. Nile Spellbomb is like $1 on buy list for most versions. Card used to be about this, dropped down to nothing after a couple reprints. Its last reprint was in the starter commander decks for Foundations, I think, and then also Brothers War Commander. So it's been a minute. Card's seeing more play than ever in Legacy and Modern in both like these Frog decks, these Ketramose decks.
Huh. I was under the impression this card got power crept out of the field.
So the actual thing is that Soul Guide Lantern can either draw you a card or exile someone's graveyard. It can't do both. Nihil Spellbomb can do both. And so it sort of has its own place if you don't need to piecemeal your artifact removal or your graveyard removal. Okay. And it's better than Relic specifically because it doesn't hit your own graveyard for decks that might care about that, like Murktide Regent decks.
Sure. Okay. And it is Urza Sagable, which
yes, that's a big part of it.
I have a uncommon core set 21. So core set Magic 21. Multicolored creature. Multicolor's a big.
So I want to say why this is so messed up for our listeners. No one drafted core set 21. That was
Correct.
The one that no one drafted.
Correct.
How am I supposed to know a
COVID era.
signpost? I'm supposed to know a signpost uncommon. Is it the eagle that gives flying creatures +1/+1?
You're close. It doesn't do that, but that's the kind of card it is.
So it's a lord of some sort. Because I'm not actually going to get it. So let's.
I'm gonna give you one more clue via Discord message. JJ can put the image up on the screen. For the YouTube viewers at brainstormbrewery.com/YouTube, you can watch me and Cass struggle in real time with this and watch me point my finger at my camera.
What is the Orb Ponderer? Is Pondering Mage a thing in 21 core set?
It's not. You're going in the wrong direction.
It's some sort. Is it the Wizard Lord? Like, is it Adelaide or whatever? Adelaide's?
No, you were close with the, like, you're on point with the signpost blue-white uncommon, and I'm gonna give you the point that doesn't matter either way, but I want to see if you can get the name of the card based on the meme that I sent you.
I cannot, so I pulled up the set listing, and now it's very obvious what you meant by that. Personally, I think Watcher of the Spheres is a dog name for a card, but also it's pretty funny.
It's pondering its orbs.
Who's up?
S.
Who's up watching their spheres? Yeah. Am I right, ladies? This is just the thing I said, but in a different shape.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you said the eagle that gives flying creatures +1/+1. And this is a Watcher of the Spheres, which is a 2-mana 2/2 flyer. Creature spells with flying cost 1 less to cast. And whenever another creature with flying enters, it gets +1/+1. So, you get the point. It's fine. I took 5 minutes to ponder in my orb of my head to find Nile Spellbomb, so all's fair.
So, I want to say that I did name the one from Core 2020, the limited format that people actually played. So, I technically got it right. I technically got it right, spiritually, but you cheated by making the question hard.
I gave you the point!
Yeah, and I'm contesting the point. Why? Because that's what nerds do.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Actually, my pick of the week is Mechanized Production. This card's been printed potentially too many times to, like, creep up, but I think it still has the potential to do so if it goes unprinted long enough. Mechanized Production, in the same vein as Revel in Riches, but this is the one that got hit by the reprint hammer a lot more. Mechanized Production, 4-mana aura, you enchant an artifact. Every upkeep, you make another copy of that artifact, and then if you have 8 or more of artifacts of the same name, you win the game. So it's a win condition. It does the thing. It's been reprinted a lot. My version-specific pick of this that I think I would go with is the non-foil secret lair version that has the enchantment frame. I think that is the one that will both have the lowest supply and scale the best with like cart optimization and potentially people who just like want the card that looks like the rest of the enchantments in their deck. As opposed to like Universes Beyond frame that may not match the rest of their deck. I'm also picking this card because there are a few cards in Edge of Eternities that deal with food tokens, and we've seen a lot of other Universes Beyond franchises really hone in on the sort of the golden trifecta of like utility tokens that are treasure, food, and clue.
Right.
We're not going to stop getting cards for those specific subtypes just because they fit so many design archetypes and just so many little niches of like utility of make a food token, make a treasure token, make a clue token. Like mechanized production just gives you a very, very easy to establish win condition.
Yep.
Just put this on one of your foods or your treasures and you will either make more incidentally through what your deck is doing, or production will get this job done eventually. I really like this card. It might be too many reprints, but I think it's still really good.
The new set has 2 different new tokens like that, right?
It's
got the ones you can pay 2.
Food.
No, not the lobster, but it's the ones you can pay 2 and sack the landers to search for a land. And there's also the ones that do nothing, but if they die somehow, they do 2 damage to each opponent.
I have not looked at the set that deeply, but you may be right.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. But, like, the design space for, like, cute little artifact of the set that does a bauble token thing, very, very ripe. Plenty of stuff you can
Wizards of the Coast, they love game objects. Game objects, kind of their thing. This card is only one game object by itself, but it brings another game object back. Yuna Hope of Spira is a card seeing play in Standard now in the post-ban world.
Oh.
This for those at home who don't know, Yuna is a 3/5 for 3 green and a white. It says, during your turn, Yuna and enchantment creatures you control have trample, lifelink, and ward 2.
I'm reading this card for the first time.
Yep. At the beginning of your end step, return up to 1 target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. People are doing things like Dredger's Insight and Town Greeter or Satyr Wayfinder for you old heads out there, milling over Overlords and things like Summon Bahamut and using Yuna to reanimate them. In sort of like the predecessor to the Domain Beans deck, this is sort of a fairer, more aggressive version where they're just playing 4 copies of the Red Overlord to kill you fast. Card is about $15. There's buy lists for $11. It's a mythic from Final Fantasy. It doesn't take a lot of play for a card like this to go up a little bit. But most importantly, if you're going to try and play Standard, with this card, get 4 of them now. It's only going to get worse. That's just kind of true for most everything in Final Fantasy. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah. For the regular, most affordable version of this card, TCG player low is $14. Card Kingdom is paying $11 in cash, which means like 14-ish in trade.
Yep.
So that's a spread. And they are taking 162 copies of that number, which I think it means more than the number itself. Like, the number that they are buying at that number means more than the number itself.
Right. Yeah.
This card does all the green-white enchantress things that you want in a Standard card, and it does, like, you put this in your same deck with, like, Sterling Grove and Privileged Position and Commander. Like, this card just...
Yep.
It does that, too.
It's also just really hard to ever... Like, if you have a 1-mana way to kill a 3/5 in Standard, right? Which, there aren't a lot of those. I don't think there are hardly any. You have to hold up 3 mana every turn, or your opponent might just play a Yuna and then reanimate their best thing. It's so hard to interact with this without using a counterspell, because it has Ward 2 during your turn. So you always get value out of this unless your opponent's spending a ton of theoretical mana every game, just like playing around it, right? It's kind of the same way. It's a more emphasized version of what Zur is doing in the Domain decks before the Beanstalk ban.
Right, because, like, you can 1-for-1 this with creature removal, but then, like, you're down a card, and it's really hard to like you can, as the unit player, you can play around a Wrath by bringing back a non-creature enchantment and be like, okay, I'll just bring back
Right.
like value stuff that's not Wrathable, and now you can go ahead and spend your 4 mana to Wrath the board, and I just got back stuff that's gonna benefit me forever.
Well, it's also just like, if you are playing the unit deck and you think your opponent has a Get Lost in their hand, right? You can just play your weaker card, and you keep playing your weaker cards until you force them to deal with them with the Get Lost.
Yeah, that too.
And, or if you just don't play the unit, they've held up 4 mana for no reason, and you basically just time walk them every time they do that.
Yeah.
This card just has a bunch of really favorable play patterns, and all the tools you need for it are in standard right now. So really high on this. Kind of actually probably this is one of the bigger reasons that's a blessing they banned Beanstalk, because I can't imagine how annoying this deck would be with Beanstalks in it.
Card market also trending much higher on this, so
Yeah.
if this card continues to see play, which I don't see a reason for it not to, as the Magic, we're in kind of a Magic event lull over the summer, we will get more Magic events and Commander events and Magic Con Atlanta later this year in September. I would not be surprised to see vendors paying 20 on this so that they can sell it to other vendors in Europe for 23, and then so those European vendors can like take it back and sell it for 29 euros or something like that. Like that is
Yep.
the most likely progression point I see for this card, is you buy it for 15 and then you get your 25% just very, very easily later on by listing them. And normally, if you buy a brick of something, it can be hard to move a large quantity of. I think this card will do fine moving as bricks because you will have strong buy list outs in Europe.
Yeah. Agreed. Really what you're saying is that I'm a genius and that we should all praise my picks of the week.
Oh, absolutely.
There's not a lot else to say about Magic. We've kind of covered everything. Truly a sublime episode of a podcast.
Did you want to talk about the lobster?
Oh, I do. That card pisses me off.
I knew
Lobster
you'd either love it or-
Citizen?
I knew you were really excited for Lobster Citizen last week.
So the thing about it is it's supposed to just be you're telling me a shrimp fried this rice joke. It's like, you're telling me a lobster macked this cheese. No. So shrimp is not a recognized creature type in Magic. I will admit that.
This is the one hat. Is this the one hat card?
No. It's not a hat card. You motherfucker don't know what a hat set is. A hat set is when you got Jace Beleren wearing a cowboy hat. When you got Chandra in a racer's uniform. When you got already established things in a new setting, and the only real difference between that character in this setting and their normal setting is the hat they're wearing.
Sure.
This lobster was born and raised on whatever planet he's from in Sathera. And he's sixth generation fry cook or whatever. Lobster Citizen, how do you end up with this?
So you're mad that the creature type doesn't match with the cards?
No. It's the worst use of it, because there's no artistry to it. Like, if you're going to try and do a silly bit, you got to make it a shrimp. If you're going to try and make it like, this is just a random hominid in space, but we don't have there's no hominids in space, they're lobsters. Are hominids lobsters now? Did they do that?
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing. I feel like hominid still exists.
Searching. Okay, there's only 2 lobsters in Magic. Rock lobster in this. So we still have hominids. Curious. I don't know what that means. Maybe that just means this is a hominid in space, but it's not a hominid because they're in space.
Hominids are resemble large 8-legged bipedal lobsters between 5 and 7 feet. They're huge.
Yeah.
Although some hominids are crab or crayfish-like in appearance, hominid infants are called camarids. That's cute. After Naga was incorporated into the snake type and cephalids into the octopus type, it was discussed if hominids and camarids should retain their creature type or should be incorporated into crab or lobster. No action has been taken yet, but Mark Rosewater expects that hominid will be retired as a creature type if creative choose to use them in a new premiere set. So they're on the chopping block.
And this is the precursor to it.
Yeah, or they're in the tank at Red Lobster. They're not cooked yet, but they're soon to be.
I would buy the Red Lobster Secret Lair if it came with, like... Can we get, like, Cheddar Bay Biscuit scented cards? The Scratch and Sniff Magic cards!
I was gonna say the base. It's Red Lobster, 5 basic lands, each one with a restaurant in the location in the Magic universe, and then the flavor text of all the basic lands is the recipe for the biscuits.
What if the flavor text is a Planeswalker's order at Red Lobster?
So, like, okay.
And the bonus card is a voucher for their endless shrimp.
And as long as Guruk's flavor text is like 18 paragraphs long, it's like the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson order of like, I eat 37 cod a day. Like, Guruk's order is like 55 lobsters, 55 shrimp, 55, like...
We're cooking. We should be in charge of Secret Lair, to be honest.
Viscerid Offshoot? Viscerid Offshoot sounds like something that is $80 at a restaurant that I don't know what it is.
Viscerid Offshoot? What's that?
I'm on the Homerid wiki page. Viscerid Offshoot. Shortly after the Ice Age ended, the Homerids came into contact with humans. Creatures were named Viscerids by the Keldorians as they were first spotted emerging from the Visceral Sea. Viscerids were a minor threat during the Flood Age, during their habit of blocking rivers. During this time, Viscerids conflicted with the merfolk of Etlan Shees, who sought to avenge fallen Voldalia and whose benthic explorers tracked their movements. Sure.
I just realized that the Lobster Citizen's a legendary creature, and also, is it a gastronaut? I'm back in.
See, that's why I thought you'd be okay with it, is it's got a gastronaut reference, and then...
I wish he was a shrimp.
That's fair.
Which was just a really big shrimp.
Yeah. I can be on board with that. This feels like the kind of card that will or has already made other cards spike. Because Boros Food is a very underdeveloped, by underdeveloped I mean just non-existent, raw, if you will, archetype that has been just unexplored. Like Red-White Artifacts, they kind of tinkered with it in the Strixhaven. But Red-White Food is here, and you can do things with it. And this card can slowly burn each of your opponents by sautéing them to death with food-based verbs.
He's simmering your opponents.
Yeah. So, Boros Food cards, get them while they're hot. Something. There's a bit. Potential bit, parentheses.
That's a bit.
Oh, this has been a bit of Brainstorm Brewery. Is that an ending?
I think that's how that's the edge of the podcast. We're at the edge of the podcast, much like they're at the edge of Eternities.
Yeah. So
everything beyond this is in the Super Void in the next Mega Plane. Again, Vorthos says, please, I don't know anything. I'm just a girl. Please don't hurt me.
Everything after this podcast ends is the rest of your life. That is eternity in a way, depending on if you're Christian or left-handed. Good night.